This is going over homework, page 303, problems 27, 29, 30, 31, and 32. Let's get started here. Hey, the antiderivative. We're looking for the antiderivative of just 2. Well, that's 2x. We have a minus. Now, the antiderivative of 1 over x from chapter 3. The antiderivative of 1 over x is natural log of x. There it is, the two antiderivatives. I put a minus in between only because there was a subtraction symbol in between. I have my straight evaluation bar, 1/2 to 3. Let's go ahead and evaluate. Plug the top one in first, parenthesis, 2 times 3 minus natural log of 3. Close the parenthesis, minus parenthesis. We have 1/2, so 2 times 1/2 minus natural log of 1/2. Close the parenthesis. Here we go. Let's get a decimal here. We've got 6 minus natural log 3. 6 minus natural log 3. There we go. We've got 490 minus. We've got 1 minus natural log of 0.5. That's going to be 169. Here we go. 490 minus 1.69. Boom, we got our answer, 321. Can you check it? Sure you can. By going back to the original definite integral. Going in your calculator, your math menu, and then choose number 9. Let's see what else we got. 27. Here's 29. On this one, the first thing we need to do is rewrite it because we got a square root of x. We don't want it. We don't want that. It's tough to take the antiderivative of a square root, just like it was tough to take the derivative of a square root. Here we go. 0 to 1, x squared plus x to the what power? Chloe, what power? Yeah, you're right. It's to the 1/2 power. Now, there's the definite integral. Let's do the antiderivative in blue. Antiderivative of x squared. Well, it's going to be x to the 3rd. Now, 3 times what number gives you a 1? Well, it's going to be 3 times 1/3. There it is. That's the antiderivative of x squared. Plus, because we have a plus there. Now, the antiderivative of x to the 1/2, it's going to be a power 1 more, power function. Number 1 bigger than 1/2 is 3/2 or 1.5. Now, 3 over 2 times what number gives you the 1 that's sitting right there? It's going to be the reciprocal, 2/3. There it is. We have both of the antiderivatives. We put our evaluation bar, 0 to 1. We start plugging in the 1. So it's 1/3, 1 cubed, plus 2/3, 1 to the 3/2, minus, now, notice when you plug in 0 into both of those, you get a 0 plus a 0. Okay, now, 1 to any power is 1, so this is just 1/3 plus 2/3 minus 0. That's going to be 1. There's your answer right there. You could check it by plugging it in the calculator. Let's go to number 30. Okay, number 30, here we go. Our antiderivative is going to be a power function, I should say, power function, and it's got to be 1 more than 3 over 2. Here's what I'm going to do. 3 over 2 plus 1. That's 3 over 2 plus 2 over 2. That's 5 over 2. So it's 5 over 2 is the power. Now, 5 over 2 times what number gives you the 1 that was sitting right out there? It's going to be the reciprocal, 2/5. That's the antiderivative. We put the evaluation bar, 0 to 5. Plug the 5 in first, 2/5. 5 raised to the 5/2 power minus, hey, when you plug 0 in there, you just get a big 0. Do that in your calculator. Here we go. We've got 5 raised to the 2.5 power, and then multiply it by 2/5. There's our answer, 22/36. Okay, number 31. Here we go. Now, be a little tricky on this. We need the antiderivative of x raised to the -6/5 power. So I know it's going to be a power function, and it's going to be a number 1 bigger than -6/5. So here we go, -6/5 plus 1. I like to write the 1 as 5/5. Now put those together, and you get -1/5. That's going to be our power right here, -1/5. Now, -1/5 times what number gives you the 1 that's sitting right there? It's going to be the reciprocal, which is -5. There it is. That's the antiderivative of, here we go. Let's get back to it. There it is. That's the antiderivative. Boom, there we go, finally. That's the antiderivative of x to the -6/5. Let's evaluate it. There we go, 1 to 32. Here we go, -5, 32 to the -1/5 minus -5 times 1 to the -1/5. Okay, now I'll do this by hand, -5. A negative power means 1 over 32 to the 1/5 minus 1 to any power is just 1, so that's -5 minus a negative plus a positive. Now, this is -5 times 1 over the 5th root of 32, and that's plus 5. Okay, what's the 5th root of 32? So ask yourself, what number times itself 5 times gives you 32? It's 2, so that's going to be 1/2, and then plus 5. So this right here, that's going to be -2.5 plus 5. That's going to be a positive 2.5. There's our answer. Always check it. There it is, okay? Let's go to the last problem here. I have right down here, okay, and here it is, 32. That's our last one from last night's homework. First thing, before we ever try and take the antiderivative, we want to rewrite it. Here it is, from -2 to -1. Now, we don't want that in the denominator. We want it up in the regular in the numerator. So I'm going to write it 2x to the -2. There it is. Now we can do the antiderivative. I know it's going to be a power function and a number 1 bigger than -2. Well, that's -1. Now, -1 times what number gives you 2? I think it's got to be a -2. Let's test it. -1 times -2 gives me that positive 2. -1 minus 1 gives me a -2. That's the antiderivative. I'm going to go from -2 to -1. Let's go ahead and plug it in. -2. I'm plugging -1 raised to the -1 minus -2, then -2 raised to the -1. -1 power just means 1 over. So I'm going to go -2 times 1 over -1 minus -2 times 1 over -2. Here's what we got. Negative over negative, that's going to be a positive. That's a positive 2. Minus negative over negative, that's a positive. 2 over 2 is 1. There we go. Our answer turns out to just be 1. That was going over homework, page 303, problems 27, 29, 30, 31, and 30.